In a world where carbs are your enemy, you need one man to help you fight your battles. That man is Jimmy.
Combating nutrition disinformation and general bull. It's Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another Instagram Live. And we're here with another episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website. If you want to engage in the content and do it live, you have to go follow me on Instagram. So go do that. I'm at Living Low Carb Man over on Instagram. LIVINLOWCARBMAN. Once you are there, you can engage live in the content just like all of these amazing people are doing right now. If you missed the live, it's okay. You can watch the replay for up to 24 hours. After 24 hours, it does disappear from Instagram, but we throw all the past episodes up on YouTube for you. So go type in Jimmy Rants as a keyword search. You will find the show on YouTube. Finally, we have the best of the best moments of this here show in podcast form, both on Apple Podcasts as well as Stitcher. JimmyRants.com is the website. Today's Jimmy Rants was inspired by a series of emails that I got from somebody that has been a fan of my work for many years. This guy has been following me. He's been sending me a lot of emails over the years, and he has dibble-dabbled in low-carb keto diets for a very long time. But today, he sent me a link to this article that was not very flattering about keto. And he made the conclusion of, I tend to agree with a lot of the points that this article makes because I believe keto is too extreme and that you're missing out on a whole lot when you go keto. So that's what I want to talk about here today. What are you missing out on when you eat keto, and why is it being labeled as extreme? So we'll get back to that here in a minute. So the email, the gentleman that followed me, he wrote me all kinds of stuff. He said that when you eat keto, it will lead you down a dark path. I was like, what dark path? The path to bacon? That's not a dark path. And it's way too limited in food choices. Okay, so what food choices are you missing? I kept asking him questions, and he kept avoiding the actual questions that I was asking, as you'll quickly find out. I guess he meant he wanted bread and cereal and pasta and all the other stuff. We'll get back to that in a minute. He said it's way too limited, and life will pass you by if you eat keto. Life will pass you by. Really didn't know what that meant. And then he said, it's a completely out of balance way to be eating. Okay. Then he said, you're giving up too many of the healthy foods, which again, I inquired, what are the healthy foods that you're giving up when you eat keto? He never answered that question. He said, there's more to life than just eating meat, cheese, and butter. And I said, you do realize keto has a whole lot more than just meat, cheese, and butter, right? You realize there's more to a ketogenic diet than just those three foods. And he said, oh yeah, but we know that's what everybody really eats. Okay. He said it's difficult to go through life on a day-to-day basis just eating keto foods. So his conclusion was, don't worry about the food being keto or not, which there's no such thing as a keto food. We talked about that before. Simply eat in such a way that you stay in a calorie deficit. How easy is that? You'll enjoy life so much better. Socially, you'll be able to get along with your friends so much better. And you'll just have a much better life if you give up trying to diet on a keto and just eat what you want and just stay within a caloric balance. Okay. And then one last thing he said, oh yeah, and all these keto companies that have all these products that aren't very keto, that's just not helping matters. And I'm like, why is that the fault of keto? All the companies that are making products, that's not the fault of the diet. That's companies trying to take advantage of the popularity of the diet. Plus, if he doesn't believe in keto, why does he care whether keto products are keto or not? Seriously. All right. So if you're just joining us, I got a longtime follower who wrote to me today. He's been following me for years. He sent me many questions over the years, and I've patiently answered every email he's ever sent to me. And he's like, you know what? I think this keto thing is whacked. It's extreme. It's out of balance. It's got so many problems. And so what I want to talk about here today is what exactly are you missing out on eating keto? And why do we need to label it as extreme? Because I said the only people who think a real food-based diet like keto is extreme are the food manufacturers. Those are the people that stand to lose out, because if you're eating mostly real whole foods, which is what a ketogenic diet that's well formulated is, they're the only ones that don't like that. So what exactly are you missing out on eating keto? So let's get back to the basics of keto. Keto is fatty proteins, vegetables, and fat. And so fatty proteins, the whole array, the whole gamut of meats and animal-based foods are there, okay? But then in the vegetable category, if you choose to eat vegetables, is all the non-starchy and the green leafy vegetables. There's a wide variety of non-starchy and green leafy vegetables. And then you add in sources of dietary fat for flavor. I just don't understand why it is so limiting to him, why he feels like he's missing out, why he feels like keto will lead you down a dark path. He literally said that many words. It's just fascinating to me that he would make those statements. Now, here's the thing. He's making this statement to me in February of 2019. What about October 2019, when he tries the calories in, calories out, and he's starving his butt off because he's eating whatever he wants and he's all happy and socially. But what happens when he's not getting the results he wants anymore? What happens when he does this calorie deficit that he wants to do, that he notices his metabolism slows down, that he's not able to eat as many calories as he used to, and he's gaining weight? What happens then? He's going to come back to me and go, oh, well, I need to try this keto thing again. I know I was kind of dishing on it about 8 months ago, but I mean, it's going to happen. Because nobody can put up with arbitrarily cutting their calories all at the altar of trying to lose weight and get healthy. Nobody likes that. Nobody is comfortable with that. But there's a missing element in his story that I want to talk about here. The notion that you have to be in a, quote, calorie deficit in order to lose weight and to be healthy is probably not that much of an incorrect one. But what I don't agree with is that you have to force it through eating whatever foods you want. Because what I read in all those comments that this longtime follower wrote to me, what I read in there was, I'm addicted to carbs and I want those carbs again. That's what I read. When I saw all of his comments of all the things he's missing out on, and it's way too limited, that's all code for, I want my friggin' bread, I want my friggin' pasta, I want my friggin' sweets, as long as it fits my calories. That's what I want to do. And when we get to that point where you feel like you need all of those things on the table in order to feel happy, there's something bad wrong. And I think if you stick to a mostly, and he even said this when he was talking about the keto products not really being keto. Oh, you need to just stick with nutrient-dense real whole foods. And I'm going, nutrient-dense real whole foods is keto. That's what keto is. So if that's what you're about, why would you be dissing on keto? And why would you think that you're missing out on some magical healthy foods, which again, I have no idea what he's talking about there because he wouldn't articulate it to me, even though I asked him 3 times, please tell me what healthy foods you are missing from your ketogenic diet. And not once did he say anything other than in social situations, it's impossible to eat keto, which it's not, by the way. But that was his contention. And so I'm sure you run into people just like this all the time who will tell you, you know, I just don't have the willpower to do keto, which we talked about the other day in a Jimmy Rants. I just can't figure out why you would want to limit your choices and cut out a whole food group, yada, yada, yada. And yet there's people that believe this. It's extreme. It leads you down a dark path. It's way too limited. Life will pass you by if you eat keto. It's an out of balance way of eating, which that one tickles me to death. Out of balance. I've never been more balanced in my diet in all my life than without sugar, without grains, without starch, with plenty of healthy fats. It's the best life I've ever had. You give up too many healthy foods, he said. There's more to life than meat, cheese, and butter. Although right now on my keto carnivore, I'm having meat, cheese, and a little butter. It works for me, and I feel good doing that. It's difficult to go through life this way. Just stay in a calorie deficit. How easy is that? Easy peasy. You'll enjoy it better socially if you don't eat keto. And then all the crappy keto companies. Those were his excuses for why he no longer does keto. And I wished him well. I said, you know what? If that's the way you choose to eat, I support you. I think it's great that you've figured this out on your own, that you want to do it this way. But I'm going to keep eating keto because it's working for me and I love it and I enjoy it. And a lot of people that follow my work, same. And I wished him well. So we'll see what happens, you guys, as the months pass by, that he's doing this calorie deficit plan to eat whatever crap that he wants, as long as it fits his calories and he has a deficit in his calories. It's going to be interesting to watch if he ever comes crawling back, which if he does, I'll be here still doing my thing, probably a lot slimmer than I am now because I am losing a lot of weight with this keto carnivore. And I'll be here when he's ready. Always am. All right, let's see what you guys have to say. Welcome in, welcome in. Thank you for being here on Jimmy Rants. Hello, Jess. Thanks for being here. Confirmation bias is a hell of a drug, says Jess. Yeah. And this guy's been a longtime follower. I mean, he's literally followed my work for at least 5 years plus. I don't remember exactly when he started following me, but I remember I got a bunch of emails from him and I've helped him over the years. But I wonder if something breaks inside of people when they get to the point of frustration, Jess, that they feel like they've done keto properly, even if they have or not. They feel like in their head they've done keto well, and yet they haven't. And so they're not quite seeing the results they want. That leads them down this path to question it. And I think it's okay to question it from time to time, but then be rational about it. A lot of the excuses he gave about keto were not rational. And when I asked him point blank questions about, like the one, for example, he's going to miss out on healthy foods. I was like, what healthy foods are you missing out on when you're eating a ketogenic diet? He never did answer that. And I'm assuming he's talking about whole grain bread. I don't know what he's talking about. So it's pretty amazing. Oh, this is going to be a good rant. I hope it was, Mark. I feel like this guy is indicative of something that's more common than not. And I wonder how many people have thoughts like this gentleman. But then they come to their senses and go, well, what am I thinking? My blood pressure is better. My blood sugar is better. My insulin is better. My triglycerides are lower. My ACL is higher. I feel better. I'm more energetic. I have great mental capacity, on and on and on. Why would I ever give up keto? But he broke. Living, Liz, and Healthy's laughing at the dark path part. Yeah, that was a weird sentence. It'll lead you down a dark path. I'm like, don't think keto did that. Carbs equal life, LOL. For this guy, apparently. This guy sounds like my thyroid doctor, says Jess. The only thing I believe I really miss is bananas, says Josh. I used to think I missed tortillas, but the more I think about it, they honestly taste like cardboard. And you can actually make your own tortilla, Josh. I'm about to rock your world. Just put some of your favorite cheese, let's say cheddar cheese, in a pan. Just make a little pile of cheese and then kind of flatten it out. As it melts, turn off the burner and let it cool. And as it cools, that now becomes a tortilla that then you can put whatever you want on the inside of that. Try that. I want to hear how it goes for you. Keto is so freeing, says Kitty Caddick. You don't think about food very much. It becomes like it was meant to be just fuel and your palate clears up. You can't not enjoy real food. Exactly. Real food is so nourishing anyway. I have never felt better than eating real whole foods. I don't know what the guy's talking about, where you don't feel well, you can't enjoy life, you go down a dark path. I'm like, it's the exact opposite on all of those things for me. I eat so much more food and a variety of foods on keto than I have ever before in my life, says Steph. Yeah. It sounds like the flying spaghetti monster argument, LOL, says George. Flying spaghetti monster. I guess I don't get that reference, George, but sounds funny. Maybe you can explain it. Hey, Lisa, eating fake processed foods and consuming sugar and carbs until you get sick and die is extreme, not keto. Yes. That's the thing to me, people that describe keto as an extreme, dangerous fad diet. I'm like, how is eating broccoli, cauliflower, ground beef, salmon, butter, how is any of that extreme? The last time I checked, every single one of those checks the box of real whole food. And yet, you have people in the grocery store who will go and buy Doritos and Little Debbie snack cakes and Coca-Cola and fat-free yogurt. I saw a fat-free yogurt this morning in Sam's Club that they were bragging about has double the protein. And so you look at it, and I'm looking at 0 fat. It had like 25 grams of protein, and it had all kind of chemical crap in it. It was just disgusting. And I'm sitting there going, and people think this is healthy, and yet they think my butter is going to kill me. It makes no sense at all. Sounds like his Dear John Keto letter. Yeah, Mark, it's kind of like those people who go on like some keto Facebook group and says, all right, everyone, I just need to make an announcement here. I am no longer keto. I just thought you'd want to know, and I will never be back here again. Bye, Felicia. You don't need to announce that. Just leave. Now, when you start gaining weight and your health gets worse, you will be back, and we'll be here to help you when you come back. Trying to find substitutions for crappy stuff is like being put in a cage like a drug addict. Why, if you can heal your addictions and be free? Sugar is more addictive than cocaine, says Kitty Caddick. Yeah, and I think for this guy, I mean, he's been a long-time follower of my work. So it was a little bit shocking when he was saying these things. But I thought, okay, he gave me the respect to say, okay, I'm leaving keto and blah, blah, blah. But I thought, okay, let's ask him some questions on the way out. And literally every question I had for him that was responding to what he was saying, every single one, he had no answer for, or he refused to answer my questions. Pretty amazing. Keto carnivore, I look forward to freedom from addiction, says Jen in Progress. It helps. For me anyway, the keto carnivore has been a godsend because it's moving the fat loss needle. But I'm able to go long periods of time without eating, and there is a huge freedom from it. And what's really interesting is doing this has kept me away from some of those products because most of the products aren't animal-based ones. So it's interesting. Jess says it's hysterical to me how triggering the word keto is for some people. If you frame it as whole foods or clean eating or proteins, veggies, and healthy fats, no one will bat a darn eye. Yes. And I've even said that, Jess, that having a label on it, there is kind of this knee-jerk reaction. Of course, I saw the same thing with Atkins back in the day. If you called it the Atkins diet, oh my gosh, that's going to clog your arteries and give you heart disease. But if you said, I'm eating kind of mostly real whole foods, green leafy vegetables, some meats and some healthy fats, yeah, nobody had a problem with that. It is fascinating. That's a psychological discussion I need to have on one of my podcasts one of these days of why certain words trigger people to have a knee-jerk reaction. Whereas if you describe what it is, oh yeah, that's pretty good. So that would be an interesting survey to do. Which of these is healthy? Atkins, paleo, keto, or a mostly real food-based diet with healthy fats, meats, and vegetables? And of course, all four would be healthy. But it'd be interesting if they check that last one, assuming that was the healthy one. Anyway, funny. Joette says, my granddaughter's chiropractor in Little Rock, Arkansas supports keto, puts her patients on it, but they don't call it keto, so they don't get the backlash. And I think a lot of doctors and people like your granddaughter's chiropractor, they're doing it on the down low. Although, since keto has become more popular in the mainstream, I've heard from a whole bunch of medical professionals that were like, okay, I've been kind of on the down low, but I want to come out. And so I've been helping them increase their branding and get their name out there a little more as being a keto clinic. So it is fascinating how the popularity of keto is helping some of these medical groups that have been using this to be more bold about using the term keto with their patients. Randy Fitz says he's been following you a while. Doesn't he think you would be down that so-called dark path by now? Obviously you're not. He has to see that. Yeah, like I said, there was a lot of irony in a lot of the terminology that he used with me. And you guys know I stay very positive in all of my work. And I did in all my responses back to him. It was all positive, that I support you with whatever you decide to do, yada, yada, but I'll be here if you ever need anything, blah, blah, blah. So I don't know. I don't know what dark path he went down, but certainly I've been down no dark path thanks to keto. AK Bonbon says sugar carbs are a true addiction and a truly freeing experience, not wanting or needing them. Exactly. I don't know what he feels like he's missing out on by being keto, but apparently he's doing something wrong. Angie says, I'm carnivore. Hubby is not. He worries because I'm not eating any greens. I'm like, fine, I'll take a multivitamin for you. Yeah, you get probably more nutrients from all that meat that you're eating right now than probably most of the vegetables that he's eating in his diet. My friend Maria Emmerich and her husband Craig wrote a book called Keto. Go get that book, you guys, because in there they show a chart and they make the argument that of the 50 most abundant nutrient dense foods in the world, the top 20 are all meats and animal-based foods. It's pretty amazing when you stop and think about where all the nutrients are in meat, and yet they always hype fruits and vegetables, healthy whole grains, lentils, lean meat, and all this stuff. And those are the things that have some nutrients in them, but it's way down the list. At the top of the list is all these animal-based foods. Nick says, I go through phases where I break from keto, try to lie to myself that everything is okay. I always end up coming back to keto because of the negative health effects brought on by lying to myself. Nick, thank you for sharing that. And I think you're not alone. I think there's a lot of people that kind of vacillate between, is all this fat really not harming me? Maybe I should go off of it for a while. And so I get that. People teeter back and forth because it's hard. We've had a lot of propaganda thrown at us for a very long time that tells us that fat is the enemy. And so in the back of your minds, maybe some of you guys watching this right now, in the back of your minds, you're like, am I really, is it okay to have that fat, cardiovascular? Sure, not going to gain weight, blah, blah, blah. And it's at that point you have to basically make up your mind. Do you want to believe what this follower did and go back to the whole calorie hypothesis? Or do you believe keto is making you healthier than you've ever been in your life and you embrace that? And you run with that. And if it's the latter, then you need to be confident in that and not let anyone deter you. Leslie says people are so ignorant when it comes to keto if they only educated themselves and stopped acting like trash. Well, I don't think this guy necessarily acted like trash. Like I say, he's been a longtime follower of mine. He's just down a dark path himself right now trying to find his way. And again, I think come October, after doing this for a little while with the calorie restriction, he's going to find, maybe I need to go back to keto after all. I'm rooting for him. I want him and everyone like him to be successful. I don't want anybody to feel guilty about, stopping keto. If you feel like you need to stop keto, then stop keto. Try something else. See what works for you. And if it didn't work and you found better results with keto, then welcome back. This isn't kind of a judgmental thing. Well, you left keto. You're not allowed back in the club again. Yeah, you are. Come back anytime you want. I think sometimes we get so tribal about everybody must do it our way. So when someone doesn't do it our way, we kind of vilify them. And that's not my philosophy at all. Mine is, okay, you want to try something else? Try it. Test your health markers, see how you do, see how you feel. And if you do well on that, then I'm cheering you on with whatever you decided to do. But if that's not working well and you decide you want to come back to keto again, I'm more than happy to help you with that. He must have been high on a sugar binge and lost his mind. Oh, Randy, don't say that. Society has normalized all these carbs. It seems extreme to carb eaters. People want to have and eat their cakes, literally, says Livin' Liz and Healthy. I think that's probably the crux of most of these comments this gentleman sent to me, was he misses his carbs. And he'd be much happier in social situations if he's able to have his carbs again. I get that. That allure of having the buzz that comes from having the sugar carbs, I get it. I do. But I don't think he ever got fully keto adapted and experienced some of the great benefits that come from this way of eating. And I think sometimes people label that they did keto, but they didn't really do keto. They never really tested for keto. They never really read Keto Clarity or some other book about it and got educated about it and did it well. That's the thing that kind of upsets me the most when I see people like this gentleman who wrote to me, is they'll say, well, I've done keto and I was just miserable. And so you kind of dig deeper into what exactly they're doing. And if they're honest with you about what they've been doing, you go, whoa, that's not the way to get into ketosis. And you can open people's eyes that way. So when the time comes that he wants to come back to keto, if and when that happens, I'll be here ready to help him out. Jesse says, my dad is keto for a week. He's confused about products, but so open to any advice. His blood sugar is down, already adjusting his insulin. Victoza will be gone any day. He sees that it's working. Well, Jesse, I wish him well. He has the buy-in factor, and that's great. Encourage him all along the way. Ann says, we've been brainwashed for 3 decades of a screwed up, healthy eating plan. Yep, we have. There's a big movement of people leaving the vegan lifestyle, says Alberto, because of health problems. The vegans are angry. They're trying to do the same thing to keto, promoting why I'm no longer keto. Yeah, that's always going to happen, by the way. Keto coach Russ says, I'm inches away from being truly carnivore. I don't know why everyone gets all in a huff when I cut out bread and other healthy carbohydrates, but they couldn't care less when I was eating crap. That's a whole nother rant all to itself, Russ. The psychology of why people get so upset when you choose real whole foods that are a ketogenic diet. But yeah, when you ate Twinkies and Ding Dongs and Ho-Hos and Little Debbie snack cakes and Coca-Cola and on and on and on of all the crappy garbage, nobody gets upset by that. It is a fascinating discussion. So if you have general questions, Gloria, I see your question about headaches on keto. If you have a general question about keto, I'm more than happy to help, but we stick with the topic at hand. And the topic at hand in this Jimmy Rants is, what are you missing out on eating keto? So definitely drop me a private message. I'd be delighted to tell you why headaches happen when you go keto. So write to me. I'd be delighted to help with that. Jess says, I teetered for over 3 years, but not anymore. And I think it's okay if you're like this follower who is deciding to go back to kind of a counting calories approach. I think it's okay if you go to that, because I think sometimes there is a lesson to be learned in going through something and finding that it doesn't work. And so if you go through it and you find that calorie counting was frustrating and didn't work and didn't serve your purpose as well, then when you come back to keto, you appreciate it all the more. Many people teeter on the fat for a while. Eventually it clicks. Yeah. The fat is a big one for a lot of people because they think you're loading your body up with tons of calories and you're gorging yourself on fat, eating whole sticks of butter, and you're clogging your arteries, kind of all this imagery that people have. I also think that all of the keto processed foods are not helpful to those sitting on the fence. Exactly, Ann. And I said as much to this follower. I said, hey, look, I agree with you that a lot of that keto processed food is a lot of garbage. I was just at the Metabolic Health Summit conference a couple weekends ago in Long Beach, California. And people asked me, what of these products do you think are you most excited about? I'm like, none of it. It's a bunch of crap. Not all of them were crap, but I'd say the vast majority of what was at that conference as far as a vendor was just not ideal for someone trying to eat a ketogenic diet. And you just have to be okay with that, you guys, that people are going to try to make money off the trend. It is what it is. There's nothing you can do about that except not buy it if it's truly not genuine products. We've done it for so long now, it's hard to stop our old ways, says Snoochie. It is. Maybe this guy that you speak about needs to check out Keto Connect and all the good he is, that they bake some awesome stuff, don't they? Yeah, the Keto Connect guys, Matt and Mega, do a great job. And there's not just Matt and Mega, there's a bunch of people in the keto world that make incredible, delicious keto recipes. So I don't know why he felt like he was limited, but that's what he said. Looking forward to seeing you at the Adapt event in Georgia. Yes, Keto My Success. We will be in Atlanta, Georgia this weekend for the Adapt event. So yes, look forward to seeing you there as well. Low carb, high fat fellow. What's up, man? You can use a Keto Mojo or similar to see where you stand in your ketones. Yes, you can. And I wonder if this guy even tested his ketones ever. I don't know. He didn't mention that either. And again, this guy has written to me so many times over the years, I can't possibly remember all the encounters that I had with him via email, but he decided he's had enough of keto and that he feels like he's missing out on life because of keto, and says that's just way too extreme to eat. So hopefully by now on this Jimmy Rants, you realize, okay, he made this decision. He's going to choose to count calories for a while. He's no longer doing keto. That's cool. Nothing wrong with that. If that's what he decides to do and feels like he needs to do, go for it. Go for it. And when the time comes that maybe that doesn't work for you anymore, I wish him well. I hope it does work for him. But if he comes to a point where that doesn't work well for him, we will welcome back with open arms and give him all the information that he needs to get healthy with keto. Going from the SAD diet to strict keto can be rough. People like him should titrate their carbs. Yeah, Jess, I think that's a good idea. When 410-pound Jimmy Moore went from, and this is no lie, I ran the numbers one time. I went from 1,600 grams of carbs to 20 when I switched over. That hurt. I've never done drugs in my life, but if I was ever a heroin or a crack cocaine addict, I think in those couple of days there of starting on the Atkins diet 15 years ago, I got an inkling of what it felt like to detox from illicit drugs, because that was rough. I'm so glad I did, and I'm glad I got through those dark days and came out the other side a fat-burning machine, and I've been living La Vida low carb ever since. I'm sorry you temporarily lost a strong supporter. Hey, Ann, it's all good. There are people who have been following my work, and I've been online long enough now where they followed, they went away, they followed again, they went away. So it's pretty par for the course, and it's all good. This gentleman, like I said, has been sending me emails for many years, sending me articles and all kind of stuff. So something tells me he will be back. He's going to feel like poo dumping all that sugar and gluten. Well, Kelly, maybe that will tell him, oh my gosh, maybe I spoke too prematurely. Maybe all of that talk about keto was actually right after all. So maybe this will be the thing that might convince him. On the other side, his addiction can be too strong to deal with. His end of it. Yeah, that's right, Kitty Caddick. I turned to the ketogenic diet after struggling with BED and bulimia. So as I'm early in my recovery, I miss carbs, but at the same time, I'm loving the new healthy lifestyle. Thank you, dear Allie. I appreciate you sharing that. And it can be hard in the early days. And the only edification I can give someone who misses carbs in the early days is when you get a craving for carbohydrate, it's your body screaming at you for fat. I know it's the weirdest thing because you're like, no, I want carbs. I want crackers. I want chips. I want cookies. And your brain is telling you that's what you want. But I want you to buck that trend in your brain, and I want you to have fat instead. And when you have that, 15 minutes later, that carb craving will be calmed down like nobody's business. So that means putting a little bit of grass-fed butter onto a block of some cheese, like a cheddar cheese, stick that in your mouth, it will zap away that craving. It's pretty magical what fat does to carb cravings. Gina Garcia says, I'm glad he can do that. If I got off of keto, I get diabetes again. No, thank you. I love being thin and healthy and not deprived. Yeah, I would be so hungry eating a calorie deficit. And of course, let me give the caveat here. I think there is a good notion to making sure that you're not over-consuming calories. It doesn't mean calories are the be-all, end-all, but it is possible to blow by your satiety signal on keto and to gain weight as a direct result of that. But that said, when you eat keto, you're able to go long periods of time of fasting, and your body is able to naturally, if you listen to satiety signals, tell you when you've had enough calories. So with this keto carnivore experiment that I did in the month of January for 28 days, I'm still doing it, but the official experiment, I averaged in that 28 days 2,700 calories a day. And I'm a big boy, but that's a lot of calories. So I was by no means severely restricting my caloric intake during that time. And yet I lost 23 pounds in 28 days. So yeah, it's pretty amazing. Hey, Kat, my low-carb path, missing out. There's a keto alternative for practically anything you want. I never, ever feel deprived. No, there's no reason to feel deprived. Fit for Life Running Keto Strong says, I absolutely love eating a ketogenic diet. I feel awesome and rather ambitious. Ambitious, I like that. I turn 50 soon, about a year and a half from now, working towards a fitness competition. Well, good luck to you. His addiction is strong, says Keto My Success. And I think that'll catch up to him at some point. Low carb, high fat fella, 217 pounds down and 2.5 years into keto. And it most definitely has been the answer for me to get off the diet roller coaster. Well, congratulations to you, dude. You're a rock star. And I've told you that before. So thank you for sharing your work and thank you for who you are. What I don't miss is doing it alone. Calorie restriction and strict dieting is cray-cray. Eating keto with a support community like we have, it makes it so much easier. That's the ironic thing, Russ, is I've given this guy a lot of support over the years of him following me. And yet he still felt like he needed to move on. And again, I wish him well in whatever he chooses to do. But I don't think he's necessarily going to find the answer in calorie restriction. I love watching the panel of doctors smirk when I tell them how much butter, bacon, and meat that I eat. Yeah. Oh, you're working at the Duke Fitness Center now. Cool. They're blown away. Contemplative hiker, easier to do calorie deficit via intermittent fasting. I get hungry in the evening, but ignore and go to bed. It works for me. Yeah, I find with this keto carnivore that if I have like one really good meal, I can make that my only meal of the whole day. And so if that meal consists of, say, 1,800 calories, I'm in a pretty significant calorie reduction without even having to think about it. And my body will allow me to go through that period of fasting and get the benefits that come from that. The problem when you force feed calorie restriction is, and you're eating whatever you want, is the sugar cravings will make you hungry. And there's no hunger when you go keto and apply intermittent fasting and then let the calories kind of manage themselves. It's pretty amazing. Laura says, I went back to a plant-based diet for about a week. My sugar cravings were out of control. I was hungry all the time. I had to go through a headache, but now I'm back on keto, feeling great. What was I thinking, LOL? You weren't thinking, Laura. That's the point there, right? 6 weeks on keto, only lost 2 pounds. Well, no. Said another way, marathoner. 6 weeks on keto, and I've lost 2 pounds. Don't bemoan that. 2 pounds is amazing. But screw the weight loss. How do you feel? How's your hunger? How are your energy levels? How's your mental capacity? I want you to think about anything but the weight for now. I'm going to beat that drum until it's beating the heads of everybody that watches Jimmy Rants because it so frustrates me. I've been keto for 6 friggin' weeks and I've only lost 2 friggin' pounds and this is a friggin' horrible diet. Well, yeah, through the litmus test of weight loss, perhaps. But through the litmus test of how you're feeling and how you're doing and all the health markers that might be changing on the inside, the only thing I would encourage you with, Marathoner 333, is make sure you're testing your blood sugar, you're testing your blood ketones, and you're kind of taking an assessment of where you are on your journey. I talked to a gentleman a little bit earlier, and he said, oh, I haven't lost any weight doing keto carnivore. And so he calls me up, and he's eating all kind of lean meats, and he wasn't doing it well. And so I made a few little suggestions, and it's probably going to move the needle now. Sometimes we think we're doing keto when we're not really. So if I can help you in any way, you let me know. I used to miss beer, says fat is fat, but have not craved it in months. Yeah, that's a big one for a lot of people. This way of eating has been so fabulous, says Kimberly. I have never had a better journey than this one. I think you speak for a lot of people. I don't miss the foods that would make me diabetic. Yeah, most people would not, that's for sure. Mrs. Michelle said, went on the Daniel fast with my church for 30 days. I know it was about Jesus, but I couldn't wait to feel amazing on keto again. Well, keto, before you go on a fast, can actually make a fast a whole lot more pleasurable. My sister Beverly was keto before she went on a 3-week fast with her church. And she called me up because she was like, how do I break this 21-day fast? I was like, what? You did a 21-day fast and didn't tell your brother? But she did. And keto adaptation helped her do it. All right, guys. So the bottom line in this Jimmy Rants is, what are you missing out on when you eat keto? And the honest answer is you're not. You're not missing out on anything that is critical and essential for your health. And if it's about health, and it should be, then isn't that all that matters? And so if you're missing out because you think keto is extreme, what's extreme about it? It's real whole foods that nourish your body, that are limited in carbohydrates, moderate in protein, and high in healthy fats to satiety. That's what the diet is. And there's no need to put a label of extreme on something that is a real foods-based diet that's making people incredibly healthier. All right, guys, that's it for this episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website. As always, we start off over on Instagram. So go follow me there at Living Low Carb Man, LIVINLOWCARBMAN. Once you're there, you can engage in the content live, just like all these people did here today. If you missed the live, you can watch the replay for up to 24 hours. After 24 hours, we do put all the past episodes up on YouTube. So go follow me on YouTube. And yes, I still have a bit of a cold. Go follow me on YouTube. Type in Jimmy Rants as a keyword search. You will find the show. Finally, we have a Jimmy Rants podcast that has the best of the best moments of this here show in podcast form. It's on Apple Podcast as well as Stitcher. JimmyRants.com is the website. So until next time, we'll see you then.